This video will contain spoilers for Bridgerton, so if you haven't seen Bridgerton, go away and watch it and then come back to watch this video. Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the very popular new show Bridgerton, which has been announced that it's reached 65 million households, making it the 5th most popular Netflix original, which is insane. And I'm going to basically talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what I hope for future seasons, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So before I talk about the positives and negatives about it, I first want to say why I initially watched it, what attracted me to it, because I think that kind of set up my expectations in a certain way. And a lot of the kind of disappointments I had was basically because of what my expectations were. So following from when I first saw the trailer, I was expecting a very dramatic, very scandalous period drama. And I'm pretty sure, by the sounds of the criticisms I've heard on like Twitter and stuff, that seems to be the main expectation people had. I was expecting so many different scandals. Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into it now, but yeah, that's what I was expecting. I was initially drawn to the show because of the cast, mainly. There's a lot of actors that I really like that are in that. For example, Nicola Coughlan, who played Claire in Derry Girls, and she was recently on the Taskmaster New Year's Treat. And there was a couple of people from Line of Duty, the one who plays Lady Featherington and the woman who plays Eloise. They're both from Line of Duty, and I'm a big fan of both of them. So yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. I wanted something that was going to whisk me away to a fantasy place, and that was going to just inundate me with gossip and drama and scandals. And, you know, at the moment I think we all kind of need something like that, something exciting that's going to have so much tension in. Let me know if that was kind of your expectation as well, because that's what I got from the trailer. And a lot of people did comment like, oh, this is going to be like a period drama, like Gossip Girl. You know, a Gossip Girl like period drama should be the, yeah. So going on to what I thought worked well. For starters, I really liked the costume and the set. It was all very aesthetic and really pleasing to the eye. I know the costumes aren't historically accurate, as a few other YouTubers have pointed out, but for a viewer who doesn't really know anything about historical fashion, I wasn't really impacted by that. It seemed to fit with the era and the style. So yeah, it didn't really make much of a difference for me. However, I can understand if people are knowledgeable about fashion, they might be a bit annoyed by some of the fashion choices, which is fair enough. But for me personally, it didn't really make an impact, but I did really like the costumes. I thought they were very pretty. I really liked a lot of Daphne's dresses, and you know, the kind of stuff that I'd be tempted to wear nowadays, really. I really liked them. And I thought it was very distinct. Like, if we look at the two main families, the Bridgertons and the Featheringtons, they were very distinct in their style. Like, I think the Bridgertons went with the purple-blue colour scheme, which makes sense. Like, the mother is called Violet, and there was like violets on the house, and Daphne wearing a lot of purple kind of shows how that she's trying to be like her mother. Like, her mother, she's like her inspiration almost. She wants to be like her. She wants to get married and have lots of children. So that really works for me. And, you know, the Featheringtons being, you know, I think they're supposed to be kind of like new money. So it makes sense that their fashion choices are a bit more outrageous. And especially because Lady Featherington always wants to make an impression, but kind of falling flat. I think the grand kind of dresses really represent that. As for the set, even though it was set in London, it was primarily filmed in Bath, making use of a lot of the famous landmarks in Bath, such as the Royal Crescent, which is the like arched set of like apartment houses thing. And the reason it was filmed primarily in Bath is because Bath is a Georgian city. It has a lot of Georgian architecture, you know, that was built in the Georgian times. So it makes a lot of sense to film it in Bath because, you know, the houses and the street were what it would have looked like in Georgian times, pretty much, you know, give or take a little bit. One thing I really liked was the music. So most of the music was just your typical music you'd hear in period dramas. However, a lot of the times the music was actually covers of popular songs remade in like a string quartet style. And let me tell you, I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. ever since I got into like Postmodern Jukebox, they're YouTube music people who basically remake modern popular songs into different eras styles. So they've done like 1920s, like swing, blues, any era and any style of music. They have probably done a cover using that style, and I absolutely love it. And I always thought it'd be such a good idea to put into period dramas, because a lot of the songs, they'd be recognisable to us, and you know, they might have a certain connotation with them, and then using it in a period drama kind of mixes the two, and we would recognise that song and be like, okay, I know what kind of vibe we're going for here. So I was very, very happy to hear that being done. I especially like Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift. I think that was an absolutely beautiful cover, and absolutely beautiful. So one of the main things I liked about it was the characters. I really liked all of them. There wasn't many that I didn't like. Like obviously some of them annoyed me at points, which I will get into in a bit. But overall, I thought all the characters were very interesting. They were entertaining. They all had quite distinct characteristics. Even like the three brothers, I really struggled to tell them all apart. It was like Anthony, Benedict and Colin. I really struggled to tell them apart, but because they all look very similar, which makes sense because they are brothers. However, they did all have distinct personalities, so once you kind of got to know them a bit, I knew who they were quite distinctly, which I think was very good. I liked that all the characters were complex. Like there wasn't any character that was always good all the time, like perfect, because I really hate it when characters are perfect all the time, because nobody in real life is like that. And so each character, they have really good parts about them and then things that, you know, are quite bad. Like taking Lady Featherington, she is portrayed to be one of the antagonists, especially in regards to Penelope and her sisters, and Marina as well. So even though she is quite horrible to Marina and Penelope, you kind of see how she's struggling. She's married to somebody that she doesn't love. She's having money trouble. So this is very important to her. She wants to make an impression. And she isn't inherently bad, really. It's just the pressure of society on her, which I really like. I like complex characters. And actually Lady Featherington was one of my favourite. Just even though, again, she wasn't very nice to a lot of the characters, I just liked her. Also, the colourblind casting, I think, was brilliant. It's not something that is typically done with period dramas, so I think this is very revolutionary in a sense. Even when I was watching, I didn't think for a second that any of those black actors shouldn't be there, because they were absolutely perfect for the roles. I can't think of anybody that would do a better job as Simon or Lady Danbury. Like, they were absolutely brilliant characters, and the actors were absolutely brilliant as well. And I even think that they, the kind of explanation about why there isn't really racism wasn't needed, because A, it's fictional, so we don't really need an explanation, and B, it kind of takes away that colourblind casting because you're making a point as to why there are black characters. They didn't need to justify it, in my opinion, but I can understand why they did, because people are idiots, basically. And also, considering this show hasn't prioritised historical accuracy, because it is fictional and is also based on a book, it really doesn't make a difference at all. Doesn't make a difference to the plot. Simon being black, white, whatever, it doesn't make a difference, and it's really nice to see a leading man that isn't your basic white boy, you know? One thing that I think they did really, really well was kind of how they explored almost like the feminist aspect of it, and the kind of way that some women wanted to kind of distance themselves from marriage and relationships, which, you know, there are a lot of novels and classical books that are kind of exploring this aspect of society. And yeah, I think Eloise and Penelope were absolutely brilliant characters, showing how they wanted to prioritise their education and their place in society in regards to their impact on it rather than who they married. And I really, really like that. And I think a lot of people are calling for Eloise to have a lesbian romance, which, yeah, I think either way, whether it is that she doesn't want to marry because she's not attracted to men, or whether she doesn't want to marry because, you know, she doesn't see herself as subservient to men, which is great, and she doesn't want to participate in something that she sees as archaic. Either way, I will be happy with her character. I think it's very, very good at touching upon the fact that even though women were raised to marry and have children, that they weren't taught about sex. Like we're kind of looking at that and like laughing at it because they're so oblivious to what it is, where in reality that is probably what a lot of women were facing. And the fact that their whole lives would be ruined for having sex outside of marriage, but then they didn't even know what it was. Like, it just baffles me. It's just, oh God, we've come so far. And even though everything's not perfect now, we have come a lot far since then, which is great. It also is really good at showing the hypocrisy. So, like, Anthony actually encourages Colin to go and sow his wild oats, which basically means to sleep with women before settling down for one woman. And the fact that men are encouraged to do that while women were, like, ruined, them and the whole family would be ruined if they did have sex outside of wedlock, absolutely insane. Cannot, like, that's ridiculous. Through the kind of very explicit sex scenes, it does kind of break down the idea that sex is shameful. It shows that it's pleasurable for both parties. And yeah, I thought they did a really good job. I was expecting, to be honest, more of that from kind of what people were saying on Twitter, that it was like, you know, there was a lot of nudity and sex. I was expecting kind of like Game of Thrones level or like normal people. And it got to like episode 5 and I was like, oh, there isn't actually as much as I thought. And then it got to episode 6 on their honeymoon and it was like, there was a lot. I mean, it makes sense because it is their honeymoon, and instead of shying away, kind of like, oh, I bet they're going to have a lot of fun on their honeymoon, or I bet they're not going to get out much, instead of like kind of hiding away and like just insinuating that's what they did, which is what they did in society, they were like, no, look, this is what they're doing. And for the most part, I'll get onto the exception in a second. For the most part, the representation of sex and relationships I did think was quite healthy. And yeah, and even the kind of fake romance, I really, really, really liked Daphne and Simon's relationship up until they got married. Their kind of fake romance and then actually falling in love. I really, really enjoyed it. And I really liked how Simon presented that to Queen Charlotte, not Queen Victoria, Queen Charlotte. And basically was like, I want to marry my best friend, and Daphne is my best friend. I really like that because a lot of the times you do kind of have that dynamic where they hate each other, but it's like, oh no, we're actually in love. Whereas these, a bit of tension at the start, but they were basically best friends that fell in love with each other, and I absolutely love that. I think it's such a good way to represent their relationship as, you know, falling in love with your best friend. And yeah, I thought it was really, really nice. One little thing that I liked about this show, which I don't even think is a massive thing, but the fact that, you know, it's kind of like the debutante season. And I think they said at the end, like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next season, which refers to both the next season of the show and the next season of, like, the debutantes, which is just a tiny little detail, but I absolutely love it. I love little things like that, where it's kind of like almost breaking the fourth wall, but like not really, because they're still referring to things inside the show. Okay, so now on to the less good things, which unfortunately there are a few. So mainly is, when Daphne sexually assaulted Simon. It wasn't very good at all. Right, before I just want to kind of establish what I think about this. So for me, TV shows don't have to show healthy relationships all the time, because if they did, there wouldn't be the drama, okay? However, there is a line, and I do think it crossed it, because not only just the act itself, the way that Simon was basically forced to apologise to Daphne for lying to her, whereas Daphne never had to apologise to Simon. It was basically, look, you lied to me, so this is why we're here. If they really needed to include that scene for like the plot, fine. However, they should have had Daphne face more consequences, because yeah, it was sexual assault. And considering that Daphne was at the other end of sexual assault in like the first episode or second episode, I can't remember, and you know, Simon saved her from that situation, for her to be so naive and hypocritical about it, yeah, it's not good. I did think about kind of the reasoning why they did this, And I think one way that kind of puts in a good perspective, I'm not justifying it whatsoever or defending it, but, you know, so Daphne obviously knows nothing about sex. That is very clear. So I really doubt it that she has been taught about consent. And I don't think this was a case of I'm going to sexually assault him. It's basically, it was more of a betrayal, it seemed like, at least for me anyway. But like I said, I'm not defending it. They should have either done it where it doesn't happen at all, or if they really needed to include it, had her face the consequences of her actions in a more severe way than what she did. Because basically, he just kind of tells her, you're either going to have this child, I will financially help you, or we will never have sex again, basically, was the thing. And then she had to basically, instead of like begging for his forgiveness, she had to basically be like, well, see, you can be a dad, it's fine, instead of being like, I am so sorry for what I've done. I don't know, it was, yeah, I didn't like it. I tried to kind of think about the reasonings why it happened, but yeah, no, I didn't like it. It wasn't very good at all. Considering a show that had, in my opinion, very good representations of sex and relationships before this part, I think it has let it down quite a bit. Also, in regards to the sexual assault scene, I definitely feel like there should have been a warning at the start of the episode. Netflix are quite bad at not putting like warnings on, even though it is pretty much like typical use for like TV shows like that are broadcast on TV. So it's not a new thing. So I don't know why people are saying that they shouldn't have kind of disclaimers at the start of episodes, because it makes sense. If people don't want to see a sexual assault scene, they shouldn't have to, and it shouldn't be like sprung upon them. Another thing that I kind of didn't really like about it, and not that I didn't like, just that I kind of felt that I was let down about, was Lady Whistledown. Right, there's two reasons for this. First of all, I was expecting Lady Whistledown to release so many rumours, or not even rumours, so many scandals. Like, I was expecting big scandals. Like, I was expecting affairs, you know, cheating, secret marriages, you know, big things that would cause like big rifts in society. And like, there was really only one big scandal, and that was Marina trying to entrap Colin in a marriage with a child that isn't his, which rightfully so, you know, even though I feel for Marina, it was unfair on Colin. But yeah, like, I was really expecting a lot more, but there was, yeah, one major scandal. Well, two if you count that creepy guy that was trying to marry Daphne. But like, yeah, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I was expecting so much more, and yeah, I don't know, kind of let down by that. That was one of my expectations that it just didn't live up to my expectations, really. One thing that I was thinking about in terms of kind of the drama and kind of what could have been revealed about Simon and Daphne is that, like, Lady Whistledown could find out that Simon can't have children, writes that in her pamphlet. Then Daphne and Simon, like, Daphne gets pregnant, and then it's kind of like, oh, well, we know Simon can't have kids, so she must be having an affair. And then it's kind of revealed that, oh no, actually Simon was actually lying and he can have children, he just doesn't want children. So like, that is a very like basic one, like that's what I was expecting kind of some of the reveals to be. But it wasn't. Like I said, 2 scandals when there could have been so much more. I really wasn't thinking that they were going to reveal who Lady Whistledown was in the first season. Like, I do have a theory why. I think they revealed it just in case it got cancelled, because Netflix do have a habit of cancelling shows after like the first season. So I can understand if they wanted to kind of have a story that was somewhat complete if it did get cancelled. And there are quite a few shows who've done stuff like that. So that's why I think they did it. But I'm really hoping it's a red herring, because for me, Penelope was a very obvious choice for Lady Whistledown. I was torn between her and Lady Danbury. Those are the 2 people that I thought could be Lady Whistledown. So I'm hoping that either it's a red herring, which I don't think it is, or she's working with somebody. I think that would work really well. Also, kind of in regards to the end of the season, I did think it was weird that you did skip like basically 9 months ahead, which, I mean, I get, But like, I felt like there could have been a lot more drama in like those 9 months. I get that it's just each season is probably going to be a season of the debutantes, but like, yeah, there's so much more. Like, we're going to basically jump into Daphne and Simon's relationship being like perfect again, even though like Daphne, like Simon forgave her way too quickly. Like, that's the main thing that annoys me, is how quickly he forgave her. We have come a long way. It is a lot. They're a lot less kind of frivolous with like just throwing it around. It's like having random sexual assault in episodes where it's not really addressed. And like the fact that they literally addressed a sexual assault at the start of the season, and then Daphne does it to Simon, and it's like, oh well, that's fine. It minimises male victims in a way, and I'm just not happy about that. I'm not the type of person that believes every show should show perfect relationships. But showing something really, really bad in a relationship and then have it resolved in like one episode and they're perfectly happy and they're going to start a family, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Overall, I did really enjoy Bridgerton. I don't really have that much animosity against it. I am really excited for the next season, which I don't think it's been announced as of filming. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. Those are just some negatives that I thought about it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and comment down below what you thought about Bridgerton. You know, whether you liked the costumes, if you liked Simon and Daphne's relationship, just anything you liked about Bridgerton or you didn't like about Bridgerton for that matter. And if you want to see more videos kind of reviewing TV shows and just, yeah, lots of TV show videos on this channel, then please subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!